Perfect. Sounds good. All right. In that case, we'll jump down to money, and then Peter, we'll get to you after money. Okay.
Sounds good.
Hey, so I figured out the questions that I wanted to ask you the other day.
Okay.
Um, Basically, there's two of them. One, if I wanted to utilize Schedule 7 piping,
Yes.
what pipe group does that fall under? How can I share with you? Okay, here, sure.
Okay. So if you want to utilize Sched 7 for the majority of your piping system, what I would recommend doing is changing the material that's specified in your fabrication standards for a particular pipe group, or potentially create a new pipe group.
Okay.
So you could either manually adjust. So if you're going to be using Sched 7 for the majority of your projects, the quickest solution would be to go to the W group, which is intended to be utilized mainly for welded systems, welded lines, welded mains, and change this from Sched 10. Oh, we don't even have Sched 7. That's probably the issue you're running into here, huh?
Yeah,
This
and I'm
is not
wondering
an
if it's one of
option.
those main groups.
Um, so this list is going to contain all of the pipe that exists in your database. Um, and I'm not seeing a Sched 7 in here. So what we would need to do, sorry, I should have checked this first, Money. I apologize. This is gonna I don't want to say complicate the process, but it's gonna add some steps.
Okay.
What we're gonna end up needing to do, excuse me, is go to our parts database menu and add new edit parts book pipe type. And in this dialog screen, what we'll need to do is, and probably the easiest thing to do would be to clone a pipe type. So cloning a cloning like a Sched 5 might be the quickest way, or maybe just cloning a Sched 10, depending on the diameters you're looking for Sched 7. We can add sizes later once we create this pipe, but the easiest approach is going to be to utilize something that's already existing. You do have the option, if you want to create a new pipe from scratch.
Okay.
Um, either approach you take, whoops, Schedule 7. Either approach you take, you're going to need to type in the new description. Creating a new pipe type allows you to specify if it's imperial or metric versus absorbing the unit scheme associated with an existing pipe type.
Okay.
So once we do this, we type in the new schedule. We click on the create new pipe type, and then this similar part editor dialog pops up. This is the same window that you would see if you were creating a new fitting or valve.
Right.
So then at this point, we've already created the pipe, but this allows us to add a short description if we want, which would be important for fab reports. So you'd want to type in something like this. So this will populate in your fabrication reports. And then verify or change the manufacturer to, I would recommend changing it back to generic unless you have a specific pipe manufacturer, pipe mill that you want to assign. Otherwise, generic would be most appropriate. And then we can adjust the stick length. And at this point, these are the only sizes that are available, and that's okay.
Now, why is that? How come, like, if we want to have like some main that was like,
Understood. So what we'll be able to do, you can see in this dialog that's still in the background here, I've
okay,
created this pipe, and this add sizes button is now green instead of red. So that will allow me to add sizes, but I have to add sizes through the pipe type editor rather than through this part creator.
Gotcha.
So at this point it's created. I've added the short description. I've changed the manufacturer to generic. I'm going to go ahead and click on create part again. So there we go. Now we've got this other screen, 21-foot stick. We could repeat this process if we wanted multiple sticks, multiple stick lengths, I guess. But at this point, everything's done within these screens. So we can click done, done, and then back in this pipe type editor here, we can add sizes now. So if you wanted larger diameter, you certainly have the ability to do that. 2, 3, 4, 6. So we can add those. Now, this window is important because this is where we establish the ID of the pipe for each of these diameters. And this internal diameter obviously is what the program is going to utilize for calculating friction loss during hydraulic calculations. So it's important to specify this ID for the pipe type that we've created. In addition to that, we're going to want to select the appropriate end prep conditions. So we can't thread Sked 7 as far as I'm aware. So we would want to use grooved and plain end. And we don't currently have an IGS option specifically for pipe, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't necessarily be able to apply an IGS. I don't know if that's something that you would necessarily want to do on the ends of Sked 7 pipe, but if so, that's something that we can tackle later on. But for now, this is the extent of the pipe creation process. So I'm not going to change these IDs. I'm going to leave them as they are, but that's something that you certainly would want to do, and verify and update these IDs. So I'm telling the program we can only use grooved and plain end. I don't want to have a threaded option, and click done. Now at this point I should be able to go back into Fab Standards and then go back to my W group or create a new group, and I should be able to select Sked 7, which is going to be at the bottom. All custom created pipe, I believe, will populate at the bottom of this pipe list. Okay, so 1.25 inches, 1.5 I've set as Sked 7. So now in my drawing space, I should be able to draw this 1.5 inches in the W group, and it is populating as Sked 7.
Okay.
So that's the process that you'll need to follow to get Sked 7 pipe into your database and then assign it to a pipe group in your Fab Standards.